deceiving, but it does look as though Cambridge have a slight advantage, but they're away. Cambridge nearer camera. Let's hear what the Coxes are saying.
Legs, backs, backs on, backs, wide, 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 wide.
Cambridge off at 43.40, but looking straight down now from the helicopter, it looks as if Oxford have got the faster start. That's going to be very important for them because they know that Cambridge have got the initial advantage after 3 minutes. The first bend to Cambridge.
They're both at 41.5 now, both at 41.5 strokes, but Oxford have gone straight into a lead of about a third of a length, even to half a length now. Both at 41. Oxford are going to look to maintain this speed, this fast takeoff. They can do that for a minute before they start to settle into their stride. But they certainly have gone away very, very fast indeed.
And so far, this is a repeat of the ISIS Goldie race. They're in the same stations then, although the toss was decided differently.
I think definitely it was a very fast start for Oxford. Cambridge seemed to be a little bit slow, I thought, by their own standards, but settling is the first thing, and as they come out towards the end of the line of this boat, we can see that still about half to two-thirds of a length to Oxford.
They're getting very close together there. Cambridge have moved quite close to Oxford, and they're just missing those blades there. The two-man against the Oxford stroke man, very close indeed. They're separating again now.
So we're coming to the end of Fulham Reach. Let's hear from Gary Herbert.
Acer Nethercott. Acer Nethercott really pushing on now. He's taken out through and away from the black boy. And Colin Smith
very
is just
dangerous
taking
here.
Nice and sharp. And really a big bend, big Fulham bend here. They've got to really put the pressure on Cambridge.
They are
so
incredibly close. And the Oxford Cox in some danger here.
Big.
But Kenelm Richardson trying to gain some advantage with this bend, but they are clashing unbelievably. Dan.
Yeah, Oxford are pushing across, trying to get the benefit of the corner a little bit. Cambridge pushing out, trying to hold their line. That was very, very close, very, very difficult for both coxswains. They came very close together. Now they're beginning to take the corner. But all of that was happening before the corner started.
I must say, the young Cox Kenelm has done a good job there because he's really had to hold his line. He was pushed very hard by Oxford Cox, and I'm amazed that they managed to stay without catching a crab there. It was.
Well, it's made a difference for Cambridge. They've now closed up that gap and may even just have their bow in front.
Cambridge have moved back very, very, very well indeed. Oxford had about two-thirds of a length then. Cambridge have pulled right back, and in fact, if anything, Cambridge have moved back.
Well, credit to the young 19-year-old who certainly was dicing with fate.
Sitting at 36. Drop catches a little earlier. Go!
And a push here from Oxford, sitting at 36, he was saying, but Cambridge now showing maybe two-man advantage.
Cambridge have certainly turned hard there. They've made that bend, they've made their turn. We know this bend's worth about quarter of a length, and that's more or less what Cambridge have got. So they've recovered off the start.
We're still moving. They're pushing.
They have to get used now, Dan, to going a long distance side by side. How much has that taken out of Cambridge to get back into the lead?
Well, they're coming very close together again there. Very close together. That's very, very dangerous there for both coxes, and the umpire's working very hard to try and keep them apart. That's big overlap there. Big crab there from the bowman in the Oxford boat. That's Kris Kenelly, got caught badly there, and that's knocked Oxford back by quite a bit. Some damage there. Kenelly has stopped rowing.
There's real trouble here. He's either off his seat, something's happened.
He's picked it up now, he's got back onto his seat, and they have lost a length there. Cambridge have moved right ahead to about a length.
It's very hard to see from this point, but there could well be an appeal against that. Yeah, this banging into one another is extremely disruptive, and this is in nobody's interest. And this time it's cost Oxford a great deal from that clash.
Walk away.
Cambridge now with clear water and asking a lot. It's now comfortably back, but let's see if Gary Herbert had a good view of that.
Yeah, Barry, that was just unbelievable from the Oxford crew, really. They came quite close around that Fulham bend. Just before the Fulham, they were really pushing it, but very surprised there. Very surprised from the Oxford Cox. He could have got clear, and there was just Cambridge now really starting to push it out. They've taken the advantage there. Bowman in the Oxford crew lost his place, came off his seat, and they really now needed to pick up there. But this now is looking very impressive from the Cambridge crew. They just sit back and they can push the puddles down, and you can see now really that Oxford are just sitting in their way. A big job for Oxford now around this next Hammersmith bend.
Cambridge looking very fluent, Kris, but it's that much easier when you're in that position.
I really find this disappointing, and it's one thing to talk about the battle of the Coxes, but this was so unnecessary. You know, frankly, for Oxford now, they've got a very hard battle indeed.
Yeah, he's there, boys. He's back.
Another bowman of the Oxford boat came off again. He's got real problems now. He's been calm around past Harrods. The seat, the wheels that move up and down, probably the clip on the seat hasn't gone back onto the slide properly. He came off there again. He's back on now, but very uncomfortable, and that's really going to be psychologically damaging for the bows of the Oxford crew.
Kris Kenelly, the American from Oriel, the unlucky man. That's Harrods Depository we're looking at. And Hammersmith Bridge will be the next marker.
Cambridge are sitting very comfortably inside their normal race rate. They're at about 33 strokes a minute when they'd expect to be at 35 or 6. Oxford are really fighting hard, but it's a 2-length deficit, which is really very difficult when you can't actually see the opposition.
Well, you have to say that Cambridge here are in total control. They started on the Middlesex station. They can go wherever they wish now. They are now coming through under Hammersmith Bridge, and the race is now theirs for the losing. It demands so much of Oxford.
Good, boys. And now compose.
Oxford are going to have a real struggle here. This is enormous.
Composure. Our rhythm. Composure. Kris shot. Kris shot. Kris shot. Yeah, good, boys. Good. And now early on at the front end. Early on at the front end. He's out of the stream. Go. Early on. Sitting 2 legs clear, 1 and down. We can still win this, boys. We have to believe. He's out of the stream. He's fucked. Yeah, that's it. His run is going back up. Neve has won. There.
Right. I think now that they've made a real effort, but at the moment they're making no impression on Cambridge. Cambridge can go where they like. It's a good 3.5 lengths now.
Acer Nethercott, whatever he believes, trying to convince his crew that they still have a chance. Find our rhythm, but golly, that's so difficult to refine when you've had a problem like Kris Kenelly had.
Keep it clean. And once more, sitting at 35, leg drive as we move back up.
Well, it's what we've been saying for many years about the issue about coxing and umpiring. So much effort has been invested in trying to keep these crews apart, and then this goes and happens.
That's good, mate. They're not going to do it. We're going down more. We're moving out here, moving out. And fuck them. Now it's time to fuck them. We're going to put the foot down. What do we want to do with this race? Make a decision. Believe. As one. Believe. And longer legs.
Well, there are people who say that they haven't been as smooth as many Cambridge crews in the past, but now clearly they are looking just that, from a position of total dominance. So much for Acer Nethercott to do.
Van River, boys. Still too panicky. Sit tall. Sit back on it. Go. River.
So Acer now really has to be brave. Big brave decisions here. Big round, still on the Hammersmith bend, still coming out into Chiswick Ayers here, but he's wide. He's been wide of Cambridge the whole way round there. So he's got to come inside and really start to make some brave decisions here. But I think it's a bit of cutting some bends now. Tide's coming up towards the top of the bend, but yeah, he's sticking to the stream, which at this stage now is not really going to make any impression, because Cambridge into the head breeze along Chiswick Island here, just tucking out, tucking in, shall I say, into the calmer water. But Oxford struggling, Oxford really struggling.
This feels good.
Cambridge coming to Chiswick 8. And that's 2¼ miles down the course. So we're almost at the halfway point now. And as I said before, Cambridge can only lose it themselves. I do not believe that Oxford can close this.
Find the rhythm again. There. Yeah, hold the backs through. Swing them Canadian style. Go. Canadian backs. There. 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 Show me now. That's it. There. Show them. And he's all over the shot once more. He's steering all over the shot.
That shows the gap. It's 3-4 lengths of clear water. It's so easy to do this when you're well in front. It's not for lack of effort behind there, but Cambridge will not let them get back into the race from there.
Oxford 35 strokes a minute, and they just don't seem to be moving. There's something not right in the boat at all, because they've fallen a long way back very quickly, and that clash that they had with Kenelly coming off his seat and losing all of that knocked them out of their rhythm. But I still don't see quite why they're falling back as much as they are. You'd still expect them to be moving on and trying to get back on terms. Cambridge are at 32 strokes a minute, Oxford at 35 strokes a minute, making no impression at all. It's very impressive rowing from Cambridge.
Certainly all the evidence we had before this race was there shouldn't have been very much between them, so the big disparity in rate and speed is curious. These crews, they invest an hour's training for each stroke of the race, so it's not lack of fitness or training here.
The interesting thing is that the Oxford crew, I mean, they're being so encouraged, and Nethercott is telling them that his opposite number is steering Cambridge all over the course. They won't really know how much down they are. And he keeps asking for pushes. He's had 2 or 3, but as you say, no obvious closing of gap.
It's looking very heavy in the Oxford boat. You know, they're up at 35, but it looks very heavy. And it's just not really moving. They're rowing pretty well. Their timing is okay, and we know that they have very good speed, but it's certainly not working at the moment.
If you're in the crew behind there, you can always tell roughly where you are, because you can feel the wake of the boat in front of you and the water coming off their blades. But they wouldn't feel that in the Oxford boat at the moment. Cambridge looking very smooth and easy now.
The timings we just saw there at Chiswick Steps just shows how much the disparity is from Oxford's point of view.
Well, 13 seconds difference there, and they're they've got 7 minutes to go now. 7 minutes to go to the end of the race. Nothing's going to catch Cambridge. Cambridge looking very fine. 30 strokes a minute. That's very low rating for a boat race. This time last year they were up at 35, 36 strokes a minute, and this is very leisurely. Cambridge really enjoying themselves. Good rowing there. Oxford still up at 34, 35 strokes a minute and making no impression at all.
Spring again. Go. Join him. Legs. As one. Legs. And now earning catches ahead of the pressure. Go! Still a frantic bit too rushed. Ahead of the pressure. Boys. In. Once again now. Smiling now. Sit up. Headwind. Go. Lying back. Swinging back. Always draw high now. Draw high and hold through. Here we go.
Kenelm, Richardson, as they come to the bandstand just at the top of the picture, past that lovely willow tree. And Richardson, it's the one chance for him. He's growing too heavy and too tall to have another chance, but he's going to be a winning blue. This is all about a 4-letter word on the board or a 3-letter word on the board. Lost or won.
So it must be tremendous for Wayne Pommen, the president too, who's come back from that injury which kept him out of the race last year to this victory, and indeed for the stroke. Nate Kirk, who stroked the Goldie race last year, where unexpectedly they won.
That's where they are. If you look at the map now, they're approaching Barnes Bridge. 4 minutes left to row. And when you bear in mind where they were at this stage last year, or indeed 2 years ago, not every year can you have a race as close as we've had for the last 2 years, but there was a definite impediment to the Oxford row, in the 150th boat race.
Hold it out.
It's about here that 2 years ago Mayer was beginning to flag where he was rowed out. He's sitting there in the boat now. 2 years ago he collapsed. Here he is now going under Barnes Bridge. I think 2 years ago he didn't have any memory of the race from this point on to the finish. He's going to remember every single minute of this one now.
I don't think there's been a race in this sense that's easier for a number of years. Most of us thought races of this sort were ready in the past, but certainly for those boys who came with something to prove, they both proved it. Pommen, the 7-man, the president, and obviously Seb Meyer as well.
There's been some very, very dynamic rowing from Cambridge. They've done an extraordinary job there. They're down at 31 strokes a minute. They'll start to build it up in the last minute and a half, but they're going very, very well here. They've really opened up a big, big distance here. We haven't seen anything like this, really, for about 5 or 6 years.
And there are packed crowds, as you saw, on the towpath down by Mortlake Church.
Well, they certainly kept their heads at a critical moment in the race. It was very, very tense in that first 3 minutes, and the Cambridge crew and the Cambridge Cocks did an excellent job.
And he's kept his crew going, but I mean, they lost a length almost immediately on catching the crab, and it got worse as he tried to get back into the seat. And as you said, Dan, there's still a problem there, surely. But take nothing away from the quality of the Cambridge row. They hadn't been the most fluent crew when we watched them in practice, but today...
No, it's not been their easiest preparation for Cambridge, though they've come on quite well in the last week. We did expect this to be a very hard-fought race, and this race will now be notorious, perhaps not for the best reasons, but it is a very, very clear demonstration of good rowing and determined rowing by Oxford, but from a position in which they dug themselves.
Well, it's going to be 78-71 in favour of Cambridge.
15 seconds translates really into about 5 lengths over the course here on this sort of water. About 5 lengths, but this is a very, very composed and very good long rowing. Some very good power being applied there. You can see there's big, big power through the legs. You see the leg drive there. They sit very low in the boat, driving horizontally right back there, driving the legs. No bodies lifting up and waving about, just a lot of leg drive.
8 men rowing as one. As Cambridge come to the closing of the race, Oxford battling on, driven by their winning cocks of last year. But they really have made no impression from the moment that they lost their advantage. Remember, they were up at the beginning, and then came that crucial moment when Cambridge went away, and they're going to win handsomely. Look at the crowd in the background. People thought that the race being late might mean not so many people would be on the banks, but they've turned up in their thousands again. Fascination for this private battle that belonged to the public. Cambridge coming towards Chiswick Bridge, coming towards the finish.
It's certainly full of surprises, isn't it? It's never the same 2 years running. This is perhaps one outcome we never thought would happen.
And the last few strokes will bring Cambridge home to win the 150th boat race and to stop Oxford's run at 2. There's the winning president, the delighted German, the happy Scot, the even more delighted German, and the American hugging him. But here come Oxford, gamely to the finish. Not the race we had hoped for. But as you said, Kris, we never know.
The Oxford Cox is making a complaint. His hand is up. He wants to make a complaint to the umpire. The umpire will have to come over to him to find out precisely what his complaint is.
And he's now talking to the umpire.
We're hearing him there saying he's claiming a foul.
Twice, dude, twice. Came straight into us twice. My rudder was hard left, James.
Just to pick up what he said, their rudder was hard left.
We lost our bound and played with. It happened twice. Your decision is final, James, and I realise it's not fine, but they fouled us. We were 3/4 length up. It affected the outcome of the race.
But it's a very, very difficult decision for James Berrens. Clearly, they felt that they were fouled. The rudder was hard left, said Acer Nethercott. Dan?
Yeah, I mean, the umpire makes a decision there, and then he's obviously made the decision already and said he's not going to change it. He was behind, he saw it all.